Political paralysis in Macedonia.
Protesters pack the streets demonstrating against a proposed government coalition. I'm Malika Bilal.
I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream.
Hi, my name is Besa. I'm an independent policy analyst in Kosovo, and I'm in the stream.
Macedonia's opposition Social Democrats have formed a parliamentary majority with the country's ethnic Albanian political parties after the ruling Conservative Party failed to do so. But the president has refused to hand over the mandate to form a new government, igniting a political firestorm.
At issue is the so-called Tirana platform, negotiated in neighboring Albania. The document calls for a greater social and political inclusion of the Albanian minority in Macedonia. It includes a controversial demand for Albanian to be made an official language throughout the country. No single party won a convincing majority in snap elections that were called last year in the wake of a massive wiretapping scandal that led the prime minister to resign.
The president and his supporters insist the platform be dropped and accuse foreign powers of meddling in their internal affairs. Tens of thousands of protesters thronged the streets of the capital when the EU envoy visited on Tuesday to help negotiate an end to the crisis. Here to help us unpack some of this, in Titova, Macedonia, Besa Arifi is a professor at Southeast European University. In Gevgelia, Macedonia, Dragan Alchinov is a columnist at Focus magazine, that's a leading journal for the Social Democrats. And Svetin Chilamanov is a journalist with the Macedonian Information Agency, a state-run news outlet. Good to have you here, everybody. So, Besa, I know you've been following these protests. You've heard chants at the protests. Give us a sample of some of the things that you've heard.
First of all, let me say that these protests differ very much from what we have had before in the recent years in this country. We've been dealing with a political crisis which has been lasting for some years now, and a lot of protests have happened in the streets during the past years. They culminated last year with what we call the colorful revolution, and these protests were mainly against the way the government ruled the country by now. Our government, the people who run our government in the past were accused of high criminal acts of corruption, corruptive practices, and misuse of power, which were really revealed in a major scandal, wiretapping scandal, and that's why these protests happen. Whereas the protests that are happening now in the streets are very different because they, first of all, do not include many of the ethnicities. They do not tackle crime at all, which is the main issue that has brought us to this political and legal crisis that we have. So they don't address crime
who's in the streets right now?
And
Besa?
mainly Macedonians, ethnic Macedonians, who chant very bad things about ethnic Albanians.
What are they chanting, Besa?
For example, death for Albanians, gas chambers for Albanians, and clean Macedonia, which means ethnically clean Macedonia.
And there is
no, come on, I'm talking. Please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. I need to.
So Besa, we're having a back and forth in terms of the conversation. So Besa is saying,
no, but I need to finish my thought, okay? Because these chants are being heard every day, and I, as an Albanian, am very offended by these chants because I hear them every day at these protests. People who sing with offensive names about Albanians, and they call us Shqiptari, which is an offensive name about Albanians, and that's totally wrong in a democracy in 2017.
I haven't gone to all the protests. I've gone to several of the protests. I've never heard anything derogatory about Albanians.
And you can see that in the media all the time.
But the mood is overall positive and overall
well, death to Albanians is not something positive that you can say.
No, it's you can have a few people who have maybe said something stupid, but it's not representative of the hundreds
there
of
were
thousands
chants,
of people.
very, very widely spread chants.
Besa, I hear you. I hear you. Let me just hear Svetlin. Svetlin, what are you hearing people chanting, and who are in the crowds?
People are chanting for a United Macedonia, and what the viewers should understand is that Macedonia is an ethnically mixed country of about 70% ethnic Macedonians and about 20% ethnic Albanians. And so far, we used to have a power-sharing agreement under which the winning party in the elections, which is always one of the two largest Macedonian parties, there is one on the left and one on the right, forms a coalition with an Albanian party. We have always had this rule that the Albanian party is like a junior coalition partner to whoever wins on the Macedonian side. And the rule said that the winning party among ethnic Macedonians is represented, and the winning party among ethnic Albanians is represented.
Where is that written, Svetlin? Where is that written?
That has made that this
in
is
the
something
non-existent agreement?
This is the voice of Dragan that you're hearing. So Dragan is saying, where is that written? Where is that officially the agreement?
This is an unwritten political convention. Macedonian parties were often in a situation where they could form a government without any Albanians in the government, but they would always invite an Albanian coalition.
So Svetlin, I asked you who was in the crowds, and then you talked to me about this coalition. And Dragan, hold tight for a moment, because I want to bring in our community. Malika?
So Femi, you asked about who's in the crowds. Our community is answering what the crowds want. And earlier, Svetlin, you said that they were chanting they want a United Macedonia. Online, we're hearing something a little bit differently. This is Jusan on Twitter. She says the key demand of making the Albanian language as the official second language may be prompting people to go out to the streets and protest. So that's on one side. On the other side, someone else has a different idea for why people are out there. This is Alexei, who says the ruling party has forced many people via a patronage network to come out and protest the new government's formation. Dragan, you see those two sides there represented on Twitter. What do you think is the reason that so many people, up to 50,000 people at one point in one day, some estimates have, went out into the streets?
Well, I'm not sure if the number is that high. I think that the number is much less than what has been stated. Even the Ministry of Interior Affairs has said that there are about 11,000 people on the streets, so that's not such a big number for our country. I think they have no idea why are they on the streets, except that they want to keep their good jobs and their functions in the government. Otherwise, they have no idea what do they protest about. Their protests are completely ideologically empty. They have nothing to say, really. They protest something about they just scream out Macedonia, Macedonia, but they say nothing else than that.
Dragan, why would anyone make it? Why would anyone take the trouble to go? Dragan, why would anyone take the trouble to go out on the street and just yell and have nothing to protest about? Aren't you just dismissing what they have issue with? Are you ignoring it?
It is
just this is
violent,
the first time
way
we have
of doing democracy.
We have for the first time an attempt.
So hold tight. I know you want to get in. Let me just finish hearing Dragan.
They do not respect the Constitution. They do not respect the laws. They do not respect the democratic will of the people. So this is just a complete mess.
Svetlin?
VMRO, which is the conservative party in Macedonia, won the ethnic Macedonian vote by about 4-3 ratio compared to the Social Democrats, which lost the elections, which are the second largest party. The Social Democrats would have lost the elections in a big way were it not for some very strange turnout in ethnic Albanian regions, which have never voted for the Social Democrats. But for the first time ever in some villages, they won 2,000, 3,000 votes, and they managed to narrow the gap to some degree. But this has broken the natural order in Macedonia in which the winning Macedonian party forms the government and the winning Albanian party joins the coalition.
What you're doing,
you're dividing
of the country.
Yes, I'm going to ask you one at a time because I can't hear you. I can't pick out your different voices. Dragan, you say...
Can I? Yeah.
Dragan, say, let Dragan respond, and then I'll hear you, Besa. Dragan, go ahead.
The principle that Mr. Chulimanov is calling upon is a very dangerous principle because it's the real principle that is leading to federalization of the country. If we have one winner on the Macedonian side and one winner on the Albanian side, I'm sorry, but that looks like a federal state to me. And Macedonia is not a federal
But that's
state.
the way it has worked for 25 years. And this is what has
And
made
where
a
is it
functional
written
country
that means
so
that
far.
And let me just bring in Besa for the point she wanted to make. Dragon and Svetlin, I hear you. Besa, remember we have an international audience listening. Dragon, hold tight for a moment. Besa, what did you want to add?
Okay. I would like to add to what Mr. Chilimanov said, because he is doing a very dangerous division. He says that, for example, ethnic Macedonians voted for this party and some other citizens, like Albanians, voted for SDSM. So you cannot divide people like that.
SDSM is the Social Democrats.
Yeah, Social Democratic
Opposition party.
And there was a large number of Albanians who actually voted for SDSM into these elections. But these people are citizens. These people, Mr. Chilimanov, are citizens of this country, and their vote is not less valued. Cannot be valued less than the vote of the ethnic Albanians. No, because you're saying that only VMRO can represent the interests of the Macedonian citizens here, because they won a slight majority of the vote. But the thing in a democracy is no. Just please listen to me. The thing the way things are in a parliamentary democracy.
So, guess I'm going to push you on a little bit because you're both talking over each other, and I cannot hear a word you're saying. VMRO is the ruling party. I'm going to push you on a little bit because I don't want to get stuck here. Malika.
No, but
so,
let me
Besa, I'm going to go to you with this, but this is what people online are talking about. So I want to make sure I get this into the conversation as well. They're talking about what we started the show with, which is the so-called Tirana platform, also known as the Albanian Joint Declaration. A couple of people have thoughts about it. So this is one person on Twitter, Lazar, who says that platform is trying to force a change of government, anthem, flag, coat of arms, and symbols. Another person sent us a video comment on that and what he sees as a problem with that platform. Here's Meto. Have a listen to what he said.
A couple of questions for the panelists today. Why are some pushing a change of Macedonia's constitution, its national symbols like its flag, its anthem, its coat of arms, and making those the priorities of ethnic groups like the Albanian minority in Macedonia? Shouldn't we be worried about greater issues like the fight against crime and corruption, rule of law, and also jobs for the youth?
Besa, do you think that's an accurate description of what's actually happening?
Let me first explain something about the platform. It's a political document signed among the Albanian political parties. It's not a document signed by the Albanian people who voted in these elections. The Albanian people voted as they voted, and a majority of their votes went to the Social Democratic Party because of this priority that the one that made the video said. So the priority, I agree totally that the priority is the rule of law and the fight against corruption and crime in this country. And that's why this the issue with this platform, Albanian platform, is that they defocuses the attention towards ethnical issues, while the main issue of this crisis is a fight against the corruption. And that's something maybe not well managed. But VMRO Dopomene accepted it earlier. VMRO Dopomene accepted it earlier. They didn't accept just one thing, the mandate of the...
Besa, finish your sentence. Svetlin, hold tight for a moment. Besa, just finish a sentence. Go ahead.
Svetlin does not allow me to
finish your sentence. We have to have a conversation, everybody. So keep your comments efficient and brief.
Of course, we need
Besa,
to listen
finish
to
your
each other in
sentence.
order to have a conversation.
Besa, finish your sentence.
Of course. My sentence was on that the priority issue is the fight against the crime, and the Albanian people who voted in these elections know that very well, because Albanians also protested against these crimes during the last year.
Okay.
And they also voted for change in this country, and that change includes the establishing of the rule of law principle, which has been lacking in this country for now. The Albanian platform is something developed by the political parties in Macedonia as a mixture of their requests, of their programs during these elections. And these are
this
legitimate
sentence is a
issues.
paragraph. Okay.
Yes, these are legitimate issues of Albanians that have been always on table, and these are nothing new. And they, of course, another important issue that I want to finish with is that there are no strict timelines where these requests should be fulfilled. So they are just out there for debate and for discussion, which is nothing wrong in a democracy.
I hope that the audience now understands why ethnic Macedonians are out in the streets and protesting. If Ms. Besa Rifi acknowledges that the new government would change the name, the flag of the country,
no,
the
I
anthem
didn't
of the
acknowledge
country.
that.
How is that possible? Haven't you ever read the Constitution? Have you ever read the Constitution, Svetlana?
This is a wholesale
redefining
of the country against the will of the majority population of the country, the majority of the largest ethnic group in the country. In the Balkans, this is dangerous. And it is doubly dangerous because it was done in a neighboring country, in Tirana, where the Albanian prime minister wanted to play like he's the leader, a regional leader of Albanians. He invited representatives of ethnic Albanians from Macedonia to preside over them in a hall which was decorated with a map which was put there to evoke a greater ethnic, larger Albania with territorial designs on neighboring countries. And the Social Democrats accepted this platform. We have an outbreak of Albanian nationalism in the region, and the Social Democrats in Macedonia have acknowledged and accepted to be part of this only in order to become part of the government. And it's one more thing, and I will leave it at that. It's ridiculous for Besa to say that the Social Democrats are honest. Their leader has been once pardoned by the president for serious crimes. There are wiretaps showing him involved in serious crimes, and Albanian parties, on top of all this, for whom Albanians have voted in the past, have also been accused of very credible, very serious crimes. So to play the game that one side is corrupt and the other side is honest, it's honestly ridiculous.
So Svetlana and Besa, I hear you. I want to throw something at all of you that people are positing online. Besa, I want to throw this at you. I think you might agree. So we got a tweet from Alexei who says inter-ethnic relations are being used to pull the wool over the public's eyes about crime and corruption over the past decade. Another person agrees with that. This is Katrina, who says the Albanian language has only became a problem after Gruevski, the former prime minister, failed to form a government. Dragan, I want you in on this part of the conversation. Do you think this is a distraction? Are there real ethnic tensions there that need to be looked at, or is this something that was drummed up by politicians?
Yeah, I think that the Albanian platform was a distraction from the real crisis in Macedonia, which is crisis of accountability and crisis of rule of law and crisis of democracy. That's the real issues in Macedonia, and not the ethnic platform. I think it was designed to be a distraction from the real issues in the country. If Mr. Chelimanov and his friends were protesting from Monday to Friday every night around the country, if they are protesting against the Albanian platform, I want to ask them, what were they doing on the 7th of January when the platform was created? And since then, they haven't created for more than 2 months. They started protesting somewhere in the beginning of March. But what were they doing
when the Social Democrats accepted
January
the platform
and
as a
February?
basis for a
Why
government?
were they not protesting while Mr. Gruevski was negotiating on the terms of the Albanian
Social
platform
Democrats accepted
with
the platform as a basis
Dragan,
for a government?
let's hear Svetin's answer.
No, the protest started when the Social Democrats accepted this platform as a basis for a government, and there is an incredibly duplicitous position of the Social Democrats. They say we accept the platform, but because we do not have the full majority in parliament, we will let VMRO, the Conservative Party, block us from implementing the worst parts of the platform, but we accept it in principle. This is inflaming Albanian nationalism. This is read by Albanian nationalists in the region, including the Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama, as a comment from a Macedonian party that they're willing to accept anything including future partition of the country, federalization, only to get the few percentage of the votes they needed.
Second, have you ever read the Constitution of the Republic of Macedonia?
Come on, Dragan, please don't play games with me. I'm not answering your stupid question.
No, please, answer me, yes or no?
So Dragan, you can take this offline, because I want to share something with you just as we push a little bit further ahead. This is from Balkan Insight, Macedonia political crisis. I'll read the headline to you. Macedonian president avoids meeting EU Commissioner Hahn. So this is an attempt by the EU to try and take some of the heat out of this political crisis. What do you think it might take, Besa, for this situation to calm down?
Well, it's obviously that we have a democratic process that is being stopped by force in Macedonia. We had elections, we have a coalition that can be formed by these elections, and somebody does not want to allow that. And now they are finding excuses. No, it's the Albanian platform. If it wasn't for the Albanian platform, it would be something else. The most important issue is to stop the peaceful transfer of power, and that's a crime in a democratic country. And unfortunately, that is being done by the highest officials in this country, while the president of the state refuses to give the mandate to the leader of the political party who has shown that he has a majority in the parliament, and the leader of the Macedonian VMRO or DPMNE party, the conservative party who ruled the country for 10 years, is calling out people to go out in the streets and to stop this democratic transfer of power. That's something very serious for a parliamentary democracy, and that means that institutions, legal institutions of this country are being forced to stop a democratic process from happening. That's why the EU is concerned, because we are a candidate state for becoming an EU member, and that's why they became involved into intermediating to settle out this crisis. Unfortunately, their voices, their constructive voices, are not being heard, since our president, who has already violated the constitution by not giving the mandate which he is obliged to do so, he has also refused to meet with Mr. Hahn, and this has I just need to emphasize that this has never happened before, for our president to refuse to meet such a high official from the European Union. And also, this is the first time that we see protesters who are trying to illegally overthrow the democratic process of a country. That has never happened before.
So I want to bring in a little nuance to this conversation, at least one person who sees both sides of this argument. This is Vlera on Twitter. She says, the so-called document, the Tirana platform, lists several illogical demands. But, she says, nevertheless, the use of Albanian language does contribute to equality in the country and in no way threatens its unity. Svetlana, I'll give that to you. At the end of the day, whether or not they're in the coalition or not in the coalition, do you think this platform could even be passed?
No, I mean, they're reasonable. VMRO, the Conservative Party, they have been proud in meeting a large number of reasonable demands by the ethnic Albanian community, and they have governed the country for 10 years in a reformist conservative coalition with a junior Albanian partner within the frameworks of inter-ethnic relations set by the Ohrid Peace Treaty in 2001, which was signed after Albanian guerrillas started an insurgency campaign in Macedonia in 2001. And everything which is part of the Ohrid Agreement has been met. This includes wide use of Albanian language wherever it's reasonably necessary, wherever there should be a elementary school, a classroom in Albanian, there is, wherever there is over 20% of ethnic Albanians living in a community, they can use it as an official language to petition their municipal government. So there has never been an issue of reasonable requests. But now we have requests to change the flag, the anthem, to change the name of the country, to introduce Albanian veto rights over public spending. The platform demands an apology for genocide over Albanians, which nobody ever new has ever been perpetrated.
You're
This
listening to
is
Svetlin
ridiculous
Chilemanov. We also have
nationalist-
Dragan
ridiculous
Altunov and also
nationalist-
Besa Arifi. They're our guests talking about the political crisis in Macedonia right now. If you just joined us, you're not too late to be part of this conversation. Hashtag AJ Stream. We're taking all of our guests online. If you're watching online, you need to be at stream.aljazeera.com. We will see you there, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Hello, everybody. There is one more thing left to do in this conversation. I would like to hear from the guests, without interruption, where do you go next? What's the next step to get out of this impasse that you have? Without interruption, I remind you this. The final thought from Svetlin. What is it, Svetlin?
The one issue we have now is that over the past 2 years, a major factor in developing the crisis was the international community. European politicians and the Obama administration, and when I say European politicians, I mean people coming from the social democratic side of European politics, have strongly favored the Social Democratic Party in Macedonia in providing them with political coverage to abuse these illegal wiretaps, providing them with funding to organize violent protests, etc. Right now, there is a transition of government in Washington. And in Macedonia, it's customary that the Albanian parties and the Social Democrats, they don't really have a position on their own. They turn to Brussels or Washington for instruction. Right now, they're left rudderless because they're not receiving instructions from Washington, where President Trump is taking over. And there are already indications that the new Trump administration will be much closer in its thinking to the conservative VMRO party. There is also division in Europe, so we have the European
I don't want you to write an essay on this one. I just want to think, what next?
Sure.
So what next?
Well, nothing. We're rudderless because there is no international leadership to be had. I mean, if we could have a unified position from Washington and Brussels, it would be fine, but we have several positions coming out of Brussels and coming out of Washington. So,
Dragan, what next? What next for Macedonia?
Okay. So Macedonia, the Republic of Macedonia, belongs to the community of democratic nations. Therefore, we need to follow the democratic rules, and everybody in the country, including the president, must respect the democratic principles. That would mean the outcome of the recent elections, because in a democracy, everybody needs to respect the will of the people. The President of the Republic of Macedonia, according to the Constitution, is obliged within 10 days of the Constitution of the Assembly to give the mandate to the candidate of the party or parties which have a majority seat in the national parliament. So it's not a question of his willingness or of his desires or of his opinions. The Social Democrats, the leader of the Social Democrats has the support of 67 members of the parliament. Therefore, the president is obliged to give him the mandate.
All right, so the president cannot stop the Social Democrats and the Albanian coalition from going forward and forming a government. As far as you're concerned, he cannot stop that. We will find out as we follow the news. Besa, what next?
Yes. The most important thing to be settled out is to follow the crime line and to establish some accountability for people who did major misuse of power in this country. And unfortunately, that's the largest fear of the political party who is now, VMRO, who is now getting threatened to go into the opposition. So they are looking for guilty people to blame their unsuccess on them. So the guilty are usually the Albanians, the guilty are usually the civil society, guilty is Soros, guilty are other states, foreign states, European Union, but not the party which has committed the crime. Only today, the Special Public Prosecution revealed 4 new cases where a total of 8...
Besa, help me out. How are you helping us with what's next? I don't want you to read to me. I just want you to tell me what you think will happen next. We're almost out of time. I've got 30 seconds left on the internet.
Let me finish this. Only today they were revealed that around 900,000 euros were misused by different people who were close to the previous government or who were ruling into the previous government. That's our major problem. Mm-hmm. And crimes like that are revealed every day by the special public prosecution, who needs to go on with its work, and it has been sabotaged by now by the ex-government. And so that's the major issue that needs to be settled down in this country, and to establish accountability for the crimes committed, and to have that accountability on for every crime committed from now on.
Besa, Dragan, Svetin, thank you very much for being part of this conversation. And hopefully our audience watching around the world had a little bit more insight into what's happening in Macedonia. Before we go, Malika.
The next up from Twitter, Meto says, should be political parties sit at the table, resolve their problems, and stop relying on the international community to mediate those problems.
We did a stream show on Macedonia in 2015. We did one in 2017. When will the next one be? We shall see. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.